Welcome back, Camden Catholic. Oh, man. I'm still kind of losing my voice a little bit. But I'm doing what I said. I'm going to get this flip up actually hopefully before I leave today. And then that way we won't have to worry about necessarily having to do this tomorrow if we don't need to, because a lot of y'all are going to be at the Birds Parade, you know what I mean? Because they won the Super Bowl the other day for the very first time. I don't know if any of y'all heard about that or not. So anyway, but let's go ahead and get started. We left off here in class, I know, with my fourth period. We're going to pick it back up here. Some of you may have already heard this already, but it's not a big deal, all right? So anyway, we were talking about in class today how the unintentional start of some of the early denominations of Christianity with the offshoot of Lutheranism, right? So Luther, of course, never intended to start this denomination of Christianity. However, he is going to endorse the church, and he's the Lutheran church anyway, and he is going to, the 95 Theses are going to be the basis for going forward with this new denomination of Christianity. So first and foremost, their three guiding pillars are the ideas of grace alone, as in the grace of God is what gets you into heaven, not necessarily the church itself or the people who work in it. Your faith alone, right? Your direct link and the fact that God knows your soul and actually will be the one that decides your judgment, right? And Scripture alone, right? So Scripture alone being that as when you need guidance, turn to the Bible, right? Lutheran at Masses would actually be more direct readings from the Bible. They would actually sample certain things from the Bible and read directly from it. It's a very, very important thing. And speaking of Scripture, remember we talked about this in class today, how Luther also advocated for the earliest translations of vernacular literature Bibles, right? So, but let's keep going. Now, anyway, other reformers that are going to pop up as time goes on are going to be John Calvin, right? So when we look at a spectrum of like how chill some of these Christian denominations are, if you look at the spectrum and you look at it kind of being like, oh, okay, the Lutherans, man, they're way over to the left. They're relaxed, they're chill, they're not doing too much, you know what I mean? They believe that it's you and your relationship with God. Read the Bible on your own, do your thing. Kind of like how people viewed hippies in the 1960s, right? And then you keep going to the right and you get a little bit more strict, a little more regulated. You know what I'm saying? You eventually hit Catholicism, Roman Catholics, you know what I mean? And they're like, oh, yeah, you know, we're still pretty relaxed. We believe that all people deserve to go to heaven, things like that. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. We're just a little bit more methodical about it. We like to kind of do some simple practices. But then you have to go all the way over to the right. Keep going past the Puritans, past the Huguenots, and you land at Calvinism, even though, ironically enough, Puritans and Huguenots are types of Calvinists, but you know what I'm saying. So anyway, Calvinists were much more strict, right? According to Calvinism, church attendance is required, right? And it all hinges on the idea of predestination, as in God knows that you're going to go to heaven before you're even born, right? Calvinism doesn't even really revolve around the ideas of free will. It says that God knows it's his plan for you and knows that how exactly your life is going to play out. So he knows even if you're going to be a bad person, right? So the really cool thing about Calvinism is, though, is write this down and highlight it underneath Calvinism. Calvinism expects a strict set of rules on how to live your life. No alcohol, no dancing, no loud music, no music sometimes at all, no theater, no distractions from God, wearing simple colors. Look at my man John Calvin right there, wearing black and white, right? He actually even started this thing called the Geneva Consistory at one point, where he literally regulated the behavior of the area in Geneva, Switzerland, where he was living. And so much to the point that there's actually this old etching that I've seen before of all these guys' heads on sticks because they were actually executed for like drunkenness or lewdness or like different things like that. So on the Calvinist community, you could be executed for very, very simple things. But this is another Protestant offshoot. This is another denomination of Christianity that's going to pop up during the Reformation period in Europe. So then Protestantism is going to spread to England, right? So England, it being a more northern country, Protestantism is going to find its way there. And a lot of this, of course, is due to what invention again? The printing press, right? The ideas are going to begin to spread northward. So, Henry VIII, King of England, this guy right here, looks like what you would think a bulldog looks like if it was wearing a man suit, right? So anyway, actually, apparently back in the day, he was a handsome fella, but not like when he was king. He was like a big guy. He was so big that his armor has like a belly on it. So anyway, so Henry VIII, King of England, had only one surviving child at the time of the Reformation in Europe, at the beginning of it anyway. Her name, Mary Tudor. So here's the problem, though. If you're the King of England, you're a Tudor, and you're the last heir of your home, and you actually are the victor of the War of Roses. Well, he wasn't personally, but his family was the victor of the War of the Roses, and you destroyed the House of Lancaster, and you actually are just kind of like, wait, no, he is a part of the House of Lancaster, House of York. And so he's like surging forward and things like that. Problem is, though, if you die, what happens to your family's line of rule? Oh, yeah, it goes with you, right? Because he needs a boy. So Henry actually wants to have a boy. So he actually turns to his wife, Catherine. He's like, this is your fault. You're not giving me a boy because, your oven's not working quite right. And you just keep making girls, right? So, and also she was having miscarriages as well, which was a big problem. And so he wanted to try and find a new wife. And he actually was apparently already in love with this other woman named Anne Boleyn, right? So he wants to try a new wife. He wants to try to have a boy. But the problem is with him is he asked the Pope, and he's like, hey, let me get my marriage annulled. I want to get a divorce so I can marry some new chick, right? So, and the Pope's like, no, this is the Catholic Church. Marriage is for life. You are forbidden from being divorced. And also, I'm the Pope, so I can tell you what to do. King, that's him enacting what? Boom! Very freaking good job. Ethan, Kimber, so smart. Liam, similar. I heard you say it too. It's papal supremacy, right? The Pope enacting his power over the king. So Henry is going to be furious by this. Absolutely furious. So what he's going to do is he's actually going to reform Parliament, all right? He's going to move around some of the seats in Parliament so the people that are actually a part of the Parliament support him. And what he does is they vote to establish a new church, right? And so England, with the support of King Henry and his new Parliament, forms the Church of England, right? So put in parentheses next to England, they called themselves also the Anglican Church. Anglican, the Anglican Church, right? Really cool things about the Anglican Church, it's kind of like Diet Catholic, right? They got rid of the ideas of monasteries and convents, but they kept around the idea of the Eucharist, transubstantiation, things like that. Like they used idols in the church as well, but they didn't use like stone altar pieces and stuff. We'll get into it later. But so they're very, very small differences, but it's obviously like a lot of the earlier practices are Catholic, right? So with the help of Parliament, though, Henry becomes the new head of the Church of England. The Pope is absolutely furious, right? So, but immediately after, what Henry decides to do is he divorces his wife, Catherine, and marries this woman, Anne Boleyn, right? And Anne Boleyn is going to get pregnant after they get married, and she is going to give birth to a, drum roll please, a girl. Crap, right? So, and her name is Elizabeth I, okay? So, what we're going to do, though, is we're going to stop right there, and we're going to continue this story on Friday, okay? Because I love telling the story, and I refuse to let anybody else tell it for me, especially a Flip, right? So he's going to give birth to a girl named Elizabeth. So now, as we stand right now, Henry has not only broken England away from the Catholic Church and established the Anglican Church, he was married to Catherine, but he divorced her, and then he already had one surviving daughter named Mary, and then also, bang, gives birth to another girl, Elizabeth I, right? And this is the Elizabeth I you know of, the Iron Queen, right? The lady that literally saved England during the Spanish Armada. So we're going to stop here, though, with young baby Elizabeth, and we're going to move forward on Friday, okay? So I just wanted to kind of give you like a little setup before we get into England, and then we're going to talk about the Catholic Counter-Reformation, then we're going to talk about the Age of Exploration next week, and then we're actually going to take a test the week after that, right? Yeah. All right, so look forward to seeing y'all then, Camden Catholic. Hope you have a great evening. Yeah, I do not hope to see you at the parade, but I hope you go to the parade, and I hope you enjoy yourself tomorrow, all right? See you guys on Friday. Have a good day tomorrow.